Hi, my name's Kristin Burke, and I've been coming to Searchlight for about 6.5 years. Um, and in that time, my life has changed in a lot of ways, and I think I've experienced an incredible amount of healing. Um, One area in particular that my life has really changed a lot has been in the area of men and relationships. Um, when I started coming here, I was 20, and at the time I was in a relationship, pretty serious relationship, with a man who was much older than me, um, which, when I got into it, felt like really cool and kind of like I'm just doing what I want to do, and I felt really empowered, and um, I think I felt really sexually empowered. Like, our culture is so much about. I just felt like I felt really like that's what I have to offer, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm a free, independent woman, um, and I think I was relating that way a lot, and not really relating to where my need for him was really coming from, which I think was a lot more tied to um, having issues with my father, not really. I think, I was dealing with a lot of rejection issues, where, um, as a young child, I felt really like rejected by my father, and that he wasn't emotionally present and there for me. And I think I so badly wanted a male figure in my life that I felt like, thought that I was beautiful and amazing and worthy and all of these things that I didn't get from my dad, and that I had really severe doubts about my own worth, I think. Um, and at the time, my relationship with my boyfriend at the time was really fulfilling that. It felt like in a lot of ways, like, where I felt like, oh, here's this guy and he's older, and he has stability, and there's a certain amount of security in that, and he wants me, and I found a lot of my worth in that. Um, and I think particularly in the relationship, like sexually, like that was a huge, like I wasn't really willing to be honest with myself at the time that was in a lot of ways what was holding our relationship together. Um, that's where I really felt like my value came in, and I felt like if I didn't have that to offer, um, that I wouldn't be worth much as a partner, you know. Um, that I found like a lot of my power in keeping the relationship, or in keeping him, was related to sex. And um, and it's funny because looking back, like I don't even know that he was consciously relating to it that way, but like when I look back on the relationship, like I definitely know that was a huge part of it, and it was putting a band-aid, I think, on a lot of the issues in our relationship. Like we didn't have healthy communication skills, and there was a lot of codependency that was going on, and not to mention substance abuse. I mean, seriously, like that whole relationship, I was drinking a lot, and smoking marijuana, and just was not in a place of being real about where, and like what life was about and why I was in this relationship. Like I was not in touch with the reality of what that was, and all I knew was that it felt good at the time. Um, and when I started coming to church, I was always really open and honest about that was the situation with my relationship, and I felt really accepted. I didn't feel like people were judging me for that. Um, but at the same time, it was really amazing because as I started to um, build a relationship with God and build a relationship with Jesus Christ and experience what grace felt like, and build closer relationships with people in the church, especially women, um, I think I was able to start seeing more of the reality of what that relationship really was, and in what areas that relationship wasn't really giving to me and wasn't really filling um, my need, and a lot of that was because I had women in my life that were willing to speak up and say hard things and be honest with me about what they thought about the relationship, but not in a way that was judgmental or harsh, in a way that was really loving. And I really got that it was coming from a place of wanting, to be there for me and not just to be mean or judgmental or whatever. And I really got that was coming out of a place of love, and a place of, having experienced God's love, wanting to pass that on, like I really got that's what it was about. And it was a long road, and it was really difficult because, in some ways I was addicted to the relationship, and I kept going back even though I knew it wasn't what I wanted and I knew it wasn't ultimately going to be good for me. Um, but I was able to end that relationship, which was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But I had an incredible amount of support being here, and experienced a lot of grace and acceptance. And um, I started going to counseling and really kind of diving into some of the issues as far as my past and my childhood and my dad, and putting a lot of connections together as far as why I was drawn to that relationship. And fast forward years later, it was like years of work and a lot of prayer and, getting support. But I am about to be married to a man who is amazing and who I know values me for who I am, and who's willing to be honest with me and hold me accountable, and um, who loves me in a way that is healthy and that's godly and that's selfless in a lot of ways. And we're waiting until we get married to have sex, so I know it's not about that. Um, and it feels honestly like really miraculous. Like, I don't think I ever, coming from a divorced family, I don't think I ever really thought that a relationship this good was possible. Um, and it is. And I feel like it's totally from God. Like, I feel like He's blessed me with my fiance, and it's really amazing. Um, and I think another area in my life where I've experienced crazy healing, um, physical healing, was when I was 18 years old, was diagnosed with epilepsy, which is an incurable seizure disorder. And I struggled with that for about 5 years. I was on medication for it, and it got pretty intense, actually. Like, the last year that I struggled with that, I was having like seizures every day. It was like really, really bad. And one night, I got prayed over for healing, and it was crazy. I got prayed over. I was our minister, Nancy's husband, actually, that prayed over me. And after he prayed, like, I felt this, like, something lift, like, off my shoulders. And it was a really, really intense experience. And I haven't had a seizure since. It's been 3 years, and I've been off medication and no seizures. Like, it's, like, unheard of. That's totally miraculous. And, like, I still question, like, oh my God, did that actually happen? But it did. And it's pretty amazing.